Okay, thank you everyone for being here. My name's Aggie. I'm with the National Alliance for Media Arts and Culture. I'm the program director there, and I am delighted to be hosting this great conversation with three really innovative teams. In the summer of 2013, NAMAC's executive director, Jack Walsh, and I attended the National Association for Media Literacy Education conference in Torrance, California, and we were really inspired by the community that we encountered there and the possibilities that we saw for intersections and interactions between our two communities. So we started brainstorming then with the Namely folks how we could provide opportunities for NAMAC's community of media arts producers and teaching artists and youth media instructors to be in conversation with Namely's community of media literacy educators. And this Hangout is our first step towards fulfilling that vision. We're so thrilled to bring to you today three teams who are making great strides in facilitating the use of media in the classroom for instructional and critical thinking purposes. Today you're going to hear from Lizzy Brooks. She's the curriculum manager at the San Francisco Film Society, and she'll be talking about their new platform, FilmEd. Then you'll hear from Emily Long, Director of Communications and Development at The Lamp. She'll be talking about their new remix tool, Media Breaker. And you'll also hear from Jonathan Remple, digital engagement producer at Independent Television Service, also known as ITVS, and he's going to be talking about their social viewing platform, OVEE. Each of them is going to discuss their particular platform and kind of walk you through it, and then after they present, I'll field them some questions to kind of dig in a little further, and then at the end of all of the presentations, we'll just have a group discussion. The conversation is expected to take about 60 minutes, and we are really excited to hear what you guys are working on. And I should just add, if it wasn't clear, this conversation is sponsored in partnership between NAMAC and Namely. Okay, so Lizzy, I'm going to turn it over to you to start presenting FilmEd.
Okay, hi. Thank you, Aggie, and thank you to NAMAC and Namely for making this conversation possible. My name is Lizzy Brooks, and I'm the curriculum manager at the San Francisco Film Society. We've just got this new tool, which is a web platform for promoting media literacy education, and it's called FilmEd. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so people can take a look at it, and yes, I'll tell you more about it. So basically, FilmEd is an open education resource, and that means that it's a tool for everybody to use. It's not just for the Film Society, even though we hold our library of lessons and documents on here. And it's conceived and designed so that we can reach more students and teachers with our resources that we've developed than we could do here on the ground in San Francisco. So this is a space where educators and can access the information and tools to teach media literacy in the classroom. That might mean filmmaking or watching films. And we have lessons for both of those on the site. So this project grew out of 20+ years of working with filmmakers in the classroom and teachers and making film projects, screening films in classrooms. And this is really a hub for film as a teaching tool and introducing students to the art and joy of filmmaking. And the final thing is that this is designed to be an ever-growing community. So we hope that people will use the resource and make it their own, and it will grow and change with each sort of group of new users. So can everyone see my screen? Is it okay? I'm going to take you all on a tour of the website. So what we have on the home page here, we have a mosaic that showcases the different programs that the Film Society runs for youth filmmaking, youth film viewing, film education in general. So any of these images, you can click on it and it'll take you to the web space for that program. Just below that you can see the featured content. This is some of the stuff we're working on right now that we're really excited about. And I'll go more deeply into the content later, but this is always changing, this featured area. And then, oh, you know, I'm actually logged in right now, but so you can see I have my bookmarks button. If I was a new user, you would see here that it would say Get Connected. and I could click that button, which takes me through the process of joining the network. I already joined, so now I see my bookmarks. But if you go to the site and you see Get Connected, that's a big button you can click, and it makes it really easy to join the community. So our goal is to make this a fully interactive space, and it's a place where you can showcase your own work in media literacy. We know a lot of people are doing really exciting things, and so you can see there's a whole feed of recent activity where everybody, our users, are uploading stuff that they're working with. So it's really, it's a showcase space, and people are writing about it on the blog. So we're going to go through the main menu, and I'm just going to walk you through the site. I've opened these links in new tabs so that I don't have to wait for it to load, but the links do work. I tested them. So to the curriculum guide. Now, this is basically the framework for the Filmmakers in the Classroom program that we teach on a local level here. It's a flexible framework that allows any classroom to develop filmmaking and viewing curricula that integrate with the skill level and the goals in that space. So it's broken into a series of chapters, which makes it very readable. And you can see these here. It's a big text, but you can dip in and out at the places that are most relevant. So for instance, the curricular alignment section here, this helps teaching artists get a sense of what are the learning standards, what is the Common Core when they're going into a classroom. They may not have had that experience in the past. And it helps teachers who are already sick of hearing about the Common Core and project-based learning and all of these sort of buzzwords really dig deeper into the ways that film projects can help you activate some of those goals in your classroom. So there are a whole lot of subjects in this curriculum guide, and I'm just going to take you through a few more. I really love the planning process because I think sometimes it can be really intimidating when you have a group of maybe 30 students and you think you want to do a media project, but it's daunting to know where to start. And so actually we have this system where you can sort of go through these articles and identify, okay, break down to the basics, what skills are they entering with and what do they need to learn. And we actually have these in worksheets also in another part of the site where I'll take you. So, and then you can see there are related articles. So let's say, where should I start? Well, we think the best place to start is actually at the end goal and to work backwards from an end goal. So we recommend that you sort of start with an objective and then make a series of cumulative projects that will add up into a larger final project. And that can be as big or small as your classroom demands. Also on this space, we have the Film Ed for Filmmakers portion of the site, which is specifically designed for filmmakers who want to screen their films in classes and to a young audience and to use their film as a subject area teaching tool. So it goes over how do you know if it's grade appropriate, how do you make curricula, how do you hold a screening in a school, and for a filmmaker who might want to do that, we have another space where they might be able to connect with a teacher in order to plan that. So you can take a closer look at the curriculum guide afterwards, and I'm just going to move on to the lesson exchange. So the lesson exchange is basically a community library for media literacy lessons. You can see we have viewing guides and media making lessons. That's sort of an arbitrary breakdown because a lot of lessons include a viewing and a making component. So I'm a user on the site. Anyone can create a login to FilmEd, and then you'll be able to add a folder and add your own documents, as you can see up here. So we have a lot of different categories. Maybe a social studies middle school teacher wants to find some lessons that are appropriate, so I can click on that category, and it'll return all of these lessons. So I can also search by folder. So now some of these are Film Society programs that we've made folders for those, and some of these are outside groups that have decided to make a folder and upload their own work. And we're really encouraging the community to use this space. So everyone we know we're not the only ones teaching media literacy. It's really popular now, and we feel like we want to make this an open resource. So, but I am going to go back to our own guides because I know them best. So we have this whole collection of study guides, and I'm actually going to go to the one for Fruitvale Station, which I'm really excited about. It just came out on DVD, and this was a great project for me because I was able to, I felt this was a really important film, and to bring it into a classroom is a way to start a lot of discussions about the subjects in here. So you can read a little summary of the film, and then you just click here to download. And maybe if I'm not sure if I want to download it, I can bookmark it for later. And then if I found the guide useful, I can post a comment here. So again, these are all meant to be free resources on here. I know a lot of people charge for curricular materials, and we really want to make these available to promote the use of film in the classroom. So I'm going to move on to the discussion forum, which, since we're such a new site, we have not so many discussions going on. So I want to encourage everybody to join a discussion and maybe make your own. This is a place where you can talk about targeted advice, give advice to one another. So in the Bay Area Local Forum, we're encouraging local teachers and organizations to share their resources for media literacy. So maybe the Film Society here, we could share information about our Schools at the Festival program. And teachers who have been to maybe the Exploratorium to watch films with their class, they might say, hey, does everyone know about the Exploratorium? They're having this great series right now. So it's about things that are going on here. And we're hoping that across the country, actually, people will start their own local forums. You can just create a topic right here once you have a login. So this is really a hub for exchanging information. And then we've got a discussion for filmmakers about how to reach educational audiences. We have a little help field here for using Film Ed if you're confused about how to upload a video in the media gallery, which we'll get to in a minute. You can use this. And then finally, the classroom teaching is really important. That's like sort of the bulk of our program. We really want teachers, we want to support teachers who want to bring media into the classroom. So if you're curious about what are some good ways to set up a green screen on a budget, maybe you just got an iPad cart and you're looking for ideas about how to use them in a filmmaking way, then you could post that here. Or if you have a great idea for a lesson, you could share it. So again, and another really important one, artists in the classroom, is also important, but I really want to talk about students talking to teachers, because we really want to encourage students in the 21st century to get into the conversation about their own learning process. So I know some teachers blog with their classes, and we would encourage you to use this forum to have a conversation with different students in different classrooms and their teachers, and to open it up to a multi-generational space, because that's really how we live now. So going on to a more fun one, I've got the media gallery here, which is a youth media gallery. We're using this now to host films from our Filmmaker in the Classroom program, but again, this is totally open. Anyone can post here. So we ask that all of the videos be students that are younger than 18. And so we have this, you can set up a gallery for your class or for your after-school program, or just for, maybe a group of students who want to make a film. And I'm not going to play the video because I'm concerned it'll eat up the bandwidth, but I encourage you to go on here and look at these. They're really great. So again, anyone can use this media gallery. We have some guidelines up here. We encourage students to critique one another actually in the gallery, but as long as they're positive critiques. It's a really great alternative to YouTube for showcasing your work, and we're hoping that once we get a real strong population of student films, we can start to have little shows, you know, so we'll have a curated section. And I'm looking forward to see what work comes here in the coming time. We have 58 films on now, so that's kind of exciting. And then finally, to the community section. Now, this is where we're hoping to really forge connections among people who are working in this field. So if you click that Get Connected button on the home page, it would take you to this spot. And this just walks you through the process of creating a login, building your profile. So I'm going to take you to my profile. It's the San Francisco Film Society profile. I can put in my status right here and say, I'm teaching a webinar. Okay. So then that goes in, and you can see in my activity, I'm teaching this webinar. You can also see which lessons I've uploaded, and also my media gallery. So for a teaching artist, for instance, this is a great space to build your portfolio. You can show what institutions you've worked with, what lessons you've created, what projects have come out of that. I also have, these are my connections. They're people that I know in a professional relationship, and they've accepted my requests. So I can also see their activity. So you can keep track of what people you know through this work are doing. And you can get to the directory, finally. This only shows the email addresses of people that I'm connected with. So it's private, and there are privacy settings here, but you can see a lot of people have already joined the community. I think people don't like to upload photos. I encourage you to upload a photo. Why not? But yeah, so you can start to see where people are based and what kinds of organizations are here. And so if I was interested in contacting the Harvard Graduate School of Education, I could reach out to Sarah and ask for a connection. She can see who I am. She'll probably accept. I'll get her email, and then I can start to talk to her about some new project that I want to work on. So this is an area of the site that's really still growing, but we're hoping that as the community becomes bigger, this will become even more valuable. And just lastly, we have a very nice blog, which is just a space to tell stories about what you're doing with media in the classroom. We have a lot of our programs are blogging, and some other people are just posting materials that seem useful. So it's a conversation space. And that's basically it. That's Film Ed. So I am curious to hear what questions anyone has, and what can I tell you?
Thanks so much, Lizzie. That was great. We do have one question from the viewing audience, which is, who would you describe as the target audience for this website?
Right. That's a good question. Our target audience for a lot of our programs is classroom teachers, and they remain our core audience for this site. So I'm going to say it's for teachers who are working to bring more media into their classroom, but who might need a little bit of support. You know, we're not trying to shove it down anyone's throat. So I know a lot of teachers are swamped with new technology and new tools, and this is meant to be a space where people can exchange thoughts about those tools as they come into the classroom and trade tips maybe. And another core audience is teaching artists. My background is as a filmmaker actually, and I've done a lot of work in after-school programs, and I felt that I often didn't know the background that the professional educators, the trained teachers are coming from when they're thinking about learning standards and the topics they have to cover and testing. So the site also has that information. And then finally, in the Film Ed for Filmmakers portal, we're working with filmmakers who want to target their film at an educational space. So it's sort of meant to be a hub for a lot of different groups of people who are usually separated.
And Lizzy, I'm noticing that the site is has sort of, it does two things. One is that it's an open platform for lots of different people to use and be in conversation with one another. But there also feels to be like a sort of a curated element, because it is a very specific, like you said, a specific target audience. So I wonder, when somebody posts media to the media gallery or posts a lesson, is there someone at Film Society that's moderating the conversation to make sure that the content is quality and relevant, or is it going to be up to the community to decide, kind of what gets upvoted and what doesn't?
Yeah, that's a good question. We do monitor to make sure. You have to be approved to upload. Once you're a user, you have the option to upload, and you upload your lesson, and then we look at that lesson and approve it. But we're basically setting a pretty low bar. We want to make sure they're lessons, actually. And so our idea is that this is an open space, and that as an author of curricula, as somebody who's working in the classroom, you build a collection of works. And so if I go to the lesson exchange, actually, you can see that it always lists the author. And so I can click on that author, and it'll take me to their page. So to a certain extent, you can say, okay, well, I like the other content that I've used from the San Francisco Film Society, so I think this will be a good lesson for me. And then we do have those featured areas, which we're hoping that these won't just be our materials, that actually other groups that we work with can say, hey, I would love if you would feature this guide that we made for such and such film. And, so yeah, we're trying to walk a balance between making it completely open and doing some quality control. But to a large extent, that's based on the users.
Good. And one last question from the audience before we move to Emily. Would youth also be invited to upload perhaps their media to the media gallery, or is it only the instructors that that will be invited to upload content?
No, absolutely. We want youth to use this space, and I think it's really exciting how many young people are making films. We see that a lot we curate a collection of youth works that plays in the San Francisco Film Society, and these are mostly just independent projects that young people are making. So yeah, our hope is really that young people will make use of this, and we want those films. So if you're 15 and you have your own production company with your brother and your friend, then you guys can create a gallery with the name of your production company and upload the films here. That's what it's for.
Okay, great. So if viewers have follow-up questions for Lizzy, we might be able to take those at the end, or we can also you can also contact Lizzy at FilmEd. But we're going to move on to, thank you so much, Lizzy, that was great.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to hear from Emily Long, who is Director of Communications and Development at the LAMP, and she's going to introduce their remix tool, Media Breaker. All right, Emily.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to this, and thanks to Aggie and Namely and NAMAC for putting this all together. So first, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about the LAMP. We are a media literacy nonprofit organization, and maybe Aggie, if you can go ahead and get the video. See that?
Yep.
We're a media literacy nonprofit organization. We travel all throughout New York City, and we bring the computers and teachers and equipment and everything that would be needed for a hands-on media literacy workshop, and we bring those directly to the schools and communities that need them the most. So we are completely mobile, and we focus mostly on critical thinking skills, and we're also heavy on process over product. And this, as far as the media breaker is concerned, this video that Aggie's got queued up here, I think is going to do a better job than I can of kind of explaining it right away.
It's your right to talk back to media, especially when you don't like or disagree with something in a commercial, news program, or any other program. That's why the Media Breaker was created, to give you the chance to creatively and publicly talk back by re-editing any commercial or TV clip you choose.
Satisfies.
The way we see it, media messages affect the larger world we live in. They're trying to get you to do something, like purchase a product or think a certain way. Media messages also often use images and ideas to enforce a status quo or make you think something is normal. To do this, they may rely on stereotypes or leave out certain pieces of information. Sometimes we need to challenge what's considered normal and call out irresponsible media messages. If you want media to change, it's important to make your voice heard. With the Media Breaker, you get a chance to do just that.
Totally cloud-based video remix tool. You go in and you import your own media that you choose. So we find that short media tends to work a little bit better. So things like commercials or news clips or music videos are another one that work well. And you take them in and you remix them. And I think, Aggie, if you have the other sample of the video. That's it. You can see that there's the heavier emphasis in that is really on being critical. It is not a slick video. It is not, got super high production values, but that's really not the point of it. The point of it is to create a piece of media that then can be posted publicly online and can be used to respond to media messages that are inaccurate or sometimes harmful or or even dangerous, depending on how you feel about a certain piece of media. And that was more or less why we created the Media Breaker, was in order to create those opportunities. But another big reason why we created it was because we saw in schools that we went into that there was a huge gap between what teachers were able to teach based on the equipment that they had and the skills that they themselves had. A lot of them, they don't even know if they have iMovie or Windows Media Maker on their computers, much less know how to use it, and to them it's a very overwhelming thing for them to learn how to use and then try and pack into a 45 or 50-minute class period. So we wanted to come up with something that would provide a very simple, basic user interface that would be easy to learn, and that would live in the cloud, so it would be friendly for environments like a computer lab where kids might not necessarily work on the same machine from day to day, or where they could work on a piece during the day at school, or they could work on it then from their own computer at home. So that was the benefit there. And I think I'm going to try and do a screen share here, just show you the Media Breaker interface real quickly. So this is it. This is what it looks like. You can see over here is where you would import a piece of media, and then it shows up in there. And it's somewhat like in iMovie when you get different frames of it. And then what you're working on will preview here. In the timeline is where you drag and drop different pieces over to, you know, you can add music. We've got different. There's an advanced editor that you can use as well to add other effects and things. So, and all the music comes from Creative Commons, so that is all, you know, as far as licenses go, it's all fair use as well. So I'll click out of the screen share now. Okay. So again, one of the things that I know I've talked about a little bit with Media Breaker and that makes it really special is the fair use component. Fair use in copyright law is something that is very difficult to teach to students and also to teachers because it is a notoriously gray area of the law. And it's one thing that we're attempting to do here. Every video before it goes out and is posted publicly gets reviewed by a team of lawyers. And so they judge it based on whether they think it would be adequate to meet fair use guidelines or not. And then depending on their feedback, then you can go back in and you can redo your video, you know, or, you know, start a new video, whichever your choice. But you've learned a little bit more about what goes into fair use. There are also educational resources that are on mediabreaker.org that explain fair use a little bit better, and, you know, give it in real plain English, just breaking it down. Here are the basics of fair use. Again, because it's a gray area, it's hard to say this is definitely fair use, this is definitely not fair use. But it is, at the very least, opening up the conversation. And as you probably saw in the Media Breaker, there are little placards that show up at the beginning and at the end that say this is a video created for the purpose of a media literacy workshop offered by the LAMP. That disclaimer in itself somewhat points to the fact that this is an educational critical thinking tool. This is not where you go to just remix your skateboard video or something like that. And again, that's part of why we have all of the videos moderated by lawyers and legal interns who go through and make their determinations. So far, what we've done with the Media Breaker is we've been working with it in high schools. That age group tends to work very well. Middle school also works, although we time issues, you know, because class periods are only so short when we're doing something that's during the school day, those can be a problem. And so far, again, you know, the thing that we've really learned is just that it takes some time for kids to be open about criticizing media that they love, which I'm sure all of us in this realm have found at some point or another. But once you open their eyes to the fact that you can criticize something without hating it or slamming it, or meaning like, so you can't watch commercials now or you can't watch TV now, then it really just opens up this whole world to them. And that's where a tool like the Media Breaker helps them to almost literally get their fingers in the dirt and move things around, splice things up, add things on top, and in doing so, create their own piece of media, but also understand that media is mutable and it's something that they can create and they can change and they can use, so they can share an opinion and express a voice, and it's a tool for expression in that way. And yeah, that's pretty much the basics of Media Breaker. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't think I quite used all my time, but.
Emily, that was great. I have a question. My understanding is that currently Media Breaker is being used by the LAMP in facilitating workshops at high schools and middle schools. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so then is the goal, do you see the goal being eventually having Media Breaker be used by teachers independently in the classroom?
Yes, absolutely. The idea is that this is something that can be picked up and learned very easily, and overcomes those obstacles behind like iMovie and Media Maker.
And then if they were to do that, like obviously they wouldn't probably have a team of lawyers like kind of checking every video, so how will you work around the fair use issues that come up if the teachers are independently producing the films with the students?
Once you click submit on the video, it immediately goes into a queue that is reviewed by all the lawyers. And the videos, once they are created, it's all in the terms of service, which you'll see if you actually go to the site and then click through. Terms of service states that the LAMP owns all of the videos, basically, which sounds bad at first, but really what we're trying to do is we're trying to take on the legal liabilities. So, it's just as much in our interest to make sure that everything follows fair use from a, logistical perspective. And so they all get reviewed for that, and then they all get feedback for that. And about the only piece of personal information that we ask from people who use it is their email address. So we're able to just communicate back with them.
Okay. We have a really good question coming in from Renee Hobbs, which is, I'll just read it to you. Renee says, what I like about the LAMP is the strong emphasis on critical analysis, but how do you handle student reaction that is more celebratory and appreciative, kind of like what you discussed earlier, that this is media that some of the students love. So how do you handle the kind of the desire to have a celebratory or appreciative reaction to the media?
That's a very good question. And I guess the answer is it's a little bit different probably every time it happens. One thing I've seen facilitators do that tends to kind of help move it along a little bit can be getting them to empathize with someone who's not like them, who might be viewing the commercial differently. A lot of times it's easy to celebrate something, say, if you're a man and the commercial is something that, or music video or news clip or whatever is something that is offensive to women, and you ask that person to try and put on their, viewing glasses to think of this commercial from the point of view of a woman, or think of it of someone who is a different color than you, or someone who may not have the same sexual orientation, or is older or younger. That tapping into those roots of empathy really help to somewhat open the door. There are certainly still kids who say, I think you're just taking it too seriously, and this is only an ad, and anybody who really takes this seriously to get offended, that's their problem, not the ads. And I hope we can get to that student in other ways, in other workshops.
Emily, you had mentioned to me that you were doing the LAMP is leading a very cool Super Bowl party. Do you want to kind of explain that? I'm really interested.
Yeah. So every year, we actually kicked off the LAMP a few years ago on Super Bowl Sunday, because that, of course, is the Oscars for advertising. It's their biggest day of the year. So we thought it was appropriate, and every year since we've held a Super Bowl party where we get a bunch of people, usually facilitators, together, and we have a bunch of laptops and we've got a bunch of videos, commercials that are all ready to go. This is easier now because so many commercials are released, they're leaked ahead of time, so it's not that hard to really grab them. And we just sit around and break the commercials and talk back to them, and it sounds more fun than maybe it is more fun than maybe it initially sounds. So this year we're, because we have the Media Breaker now, it just launched last October, we're blowing it up and making it bigger than ever, and we are partnering with in New York, we're partnering with the McBurney YMCA. We're going to have 35 teens all getting together. We're hauling over like 15 laptops, food and prizes, and we're all just going to be breaking ads the whole time. There'll be a bit in the beginning where we kind of talk about what it is to think critically about media, but then we'll be taking these ads and then remixing them and cutting them up. And we have different challenges that we're going to present. So like, break an ad with this type of message, or break an ad with that utilizes this persuasive technique, and then we have various prizes that have been donated by very generous stores and companies around the neighborhood of Chelsea, because that's where this is. And we're really excited about it, especially because the Super Bowl is happening here in New York. It just feels a little bit better. 20 blocks up from where we'll be doing this will be a giant NFL amusement park. So, or it is there now, I guess. But and then we also we're going to be connecting with kids in Chicago and in Pittsburgh as well, with partner organizations there. And we've also partnered with a website called commit2act.org. That's 2 with just the numeral. And that is another kind of portal that you can use to commit to breaking some commercials and get connected with us and pass them on to us and interact with staff from the LAMP and with other people who are participating in the event. And we'll be posting the commercials up live that night, so they will get hopefully the same traffic on YouTube as everybody else's, and we'll have lawyers there in the room so they can kind of go through things on the spot and get stuff up as quickly as possible, but also have it be on point.
That's great. I imagine that might be a space where you'll get to practice kind of responding to appreciative responses from the students, because those ads can just be sort of fun to watch sometimes too. So
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. They are. I can't deny they're certainly entertaining.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, Emily. If people viewing have other questions, we can take that at the end in the group Q&A. Now we're going to hear from Jonathan Remple, who is the digital engagement producer at ITVS, and he's going to showcase OVEE. Thanks, Jonathan.
Hi, Agate. Thank you for hosting this. Thank you to all the panelists, and thank you to Namely and NAMAC for sure. And thank you for everyone for joining online. Again, my name is Jonathan Remple. I'm the digital engagement producer here at ITVS, or Independent Television Service. We're a publicly funded organization, a lot like PBS, that basically provides the nation with content from independent documentary filmmakers. So on top of everything that we do in terms of production, we also have a show called Independent Lens, where we showcase independent documentary filmmakers. It's been around for about 15 years on PBS, and we actually have a video that Aggie is going to queue up now. Beyond our television show, we're really interested in showcasing content and connecting viewers, and as public media and private media has kind of shifted away from television into new fields, advent of social media and the internet, we wanted to keep up with that. So we created this tool, OVEE, which you can go to at ovee.itvs.org. And it's a way to bring viewers together from across the country and even internationally through shared content. So why don't we show a little video that can explain it a little better than I can.
Oh man, I love John Hyatt. To me, I ain't your judge or your king. I said, baby, you know I ain't no queen of sheep. May not even have our dignity, could be a powerful thing. I said, baby, you know we ain't no me.
Changing one life doesn't feel like enough, but it is. If you're that one girl who got rescued, it matters.
Hi, I'm Valen, your moderator. The screening is almost over, but stick around because the filmmakers are here for a panel discussion after the show.
been good. I've been good. People call me up. I say, I can't talk to you right now. You're using up my chi.
So as you can see, it's a really good tool for engaging audiences that are in different spaces around the same content. One of the things that we really love to do is host these live chats with filmmakers, with experts, surrounded on some of the content that we have for our show Independent Lens, or anything from the PBS library. And it's a great way to engage discussion. And we've seen other organizations do this as well with their own content. And we realized pretty early on that we didn't want to confine this rather just to the PBS library. So now you can actually stream anything on the OVEE platform from YouTube as well. And we also have a public media account with Livestream and Ustream. So you're able to live stream events that are national in scope, or you can live stream yourself talking about a specific issue, or if you're an educator, you can live stream your classroom, and then maybe have content that you want to share with another classroom and engage in a conversation either across the country or even across the national boundaries and across the world. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can actually see the OVEE platform in itself. And I believe that's up now. So this is the homepage for OVEE.itvs.org. As you can see, we had a screening today for the state of Arizona, which was a film that we had on Independent Lens. I'll go ahead and click on that so you can kind of see what the inside of OVEE is like. So the video is already ended, but this black box is where the video screen is normally housed, and you can actually make that fuller. But to the right here, you can see the level of conversation that we had. We had a bunch of comments, a bunch of these emoticons at the bottom, which are fun ways, but then also really engaging ways to get your audience talking about whatever it is, whether it's their media literacy, a new topic that you're exploring, or something that you want to drive home with students, to even something like homework help. All of these things can be chatted about. You also have controls within OVEE to be a moderator, so you don't necessarily have to let every single comment in. You can also kind of weed out and really dictate the conversation that you want to have, which is especially helpful if you have a lot of people in the room. As you saw in the video, we can host up to 500, and now we actually have increased that up to 1,000. And among the video kind of tools that are out there, we're really proud about that 1,000 kind of person cap, where you can really host a lot of different individuals getting connected to the same content. So I can show you a little bit more about what it's like to kind of go into OVEE and create your own screening. Here is another example of something you can do with OVEE that we're actually doing tonight. We're doing a live chat of the State of the Union tonight. So you can actually tune in if you'd like. Just copy the URL up here. But what we're going to be doing is, as you can see, my colleague Steve Goldblum is going to be moderating that from our office here in San Francisco. You could also even do it from a laptop at home if you wanted to. And he contacted several panelists who are going to be experts in this discussion. So a multimedia reporter from Austin, Texas, a staff writer from the Daily Beast in Washington, a political reporter for Roll Call in Washington, D.C., and a director from KLRU and a producer from KLRU Austin. So we have that panel, and we contacted KLRU, which is the Austin, Texas PBS station. So they're promoting this event as well. So it's a great way to showcase not only individuals through that panel, but then also larger organizations that can have a larger kind of social media spread and impact. So their KLRU is going to be promoting this event as well. When you're in OVEE, it's really easy to set up an account. Accounts are free. You can see my profile up here with my picture, and these are all the videos that you can go ahead and select from every national series that's on PBS, including, bring it up here, American Masters, Antiques Roadshow, R21, Frontline, and of course our feature presentation on PBS Independent Lens, but anything from Ken Burns and Nature. So you really have a huge depth in terms of the PBS library, and now you can include anything from YouTube as well. So when you go into your screening, you set up your account, which takes about a minute or so to do. You can just click on Host a Screening. You can get to that selection of PBS video by clicking that button that we just saw. And then just by clicking on YouTube video, you copy and paste a URL. Here I have one for tonight that we're going to be using. President Obama is giving his past press conference on the NSA. So I'm just going to copy that in there, paste it, and add that up, and as you can see, it just pops right up. And that 13-minute clip is then going to be added into the total screening itself. So we can cut from YouTube video, cut to then again to a live stream of the actual event of the State of the Union, and then we can have any of our panelists or moderators cut in with their live commentary and actually live stream their face. So it's a really exciting way to engage audiences about a host of topics. And if you have any other questions, I know that we have kind of short on time, so I'm gonna bring it back to the conversation. But if you have any questions or interested in signing up, feel free to connect with us. We have an entire platform for educators. It's completely free, and we're really interested in pushing this content.
That's great, Jonathan. So thank you. So you're saying that right now any educator all across the country could use this platform in their classroom if they wanted?
Completely.
Okay, great. And what are the steps they need to take in order to do that? And what are the steps kind of logistically that they need to take? And then what helps to make a successful chat in an educational setting?
Great questions. So the easiest thing to do, you can just go ahead to ovee.itvs.org, that homepage, and you can click sign up. I'm going to sign out here so you can see what it would look like for you. But you just go to the top right, sign in, click sign up, put your name information, your password, choose a photo, and then you can actually just start posting screenings that day. But what we'd really love for you to do is reach out to us. So I'm not sure if you have my email address, but feel free to shoot us an email or me personally. I'm giving Aggie my email address now. I'm not sure if we can put that somewhere on the screen. But reach out to us, tell us what you're interested in doing, and we can help promote. Whether you want to do this as a public entity, have it has more public face, we can help you with marketing and outreach. Or if you want to do internally, we can help you with best practices from what we've seen. But those conversations are usually best one-on-one, just so we can really kind of curtail the experience to what you want. We also have a series of YouTube videos, 4 YouTube videos that help with promotion, help with ideas for content creation, and just kind of best practices. So I can link you to that as well. But feel free to reach out and give us an email. It's the best way to start a conversation.
Great. So, Jonathan, can people, I'm going to read this question from Renee Hobbs as well. I love this concept, but I wonder, can people talk and view at the same time? When using OVEE, I found it hard to pay attention to viewing media and focus on the process of commenting. Is this something that gets easier with practice? And I would also add, do you find that this is something that is that certain, I find that I have a hard time with it too, but I feel like my 17-year-old mentee is probably more accustomed to it. So I wonder, is it something that gets easier with practice, or how do you kind of train people to be able to focus on multiple windows within the screening at the same time?
Completely. I think for me as well, it was definitely new just to kind of watch a video and then chat and kind of have to engage that as well. It took me 1 or 2 screenings to kind of really get the flow of how it works, just because it is a new tool. But honestly, it took me a lot longer to use Twitter. So I definitely have seen that with younger folks, young students as well. They're so quick to pick it up, much faster than anyone from my generation or even older. But after a while, you do get the hang of it. I have noticed, just honestly, there's a difference also between being an audience member and being someone who's moderating the discussion. To moderate a discussion and figure out which comments are really going to be good, not only to ask your panel, but then also to kind of glean from your audience. That takes another level of just kind of understanding and connectivity to it. So it definitely does take practice, which is why we recommend doing a test with your organization, doing a test with us, giving us an email, giving us a call, so we can run you through what a good test and best practices are like. And certainly if it's your first time using OVEE, we can help you kind of run through your first 1 or 2, because we really want to make sure that you feel comfortable with the platform before you're in front of live audiences.
And there is a webcam option, right? Jonathan, could you talk about that and ways that people have used the webcam within the OVEE platform?
Yes. Let's see. can't bring it up right here just because our screening has ended, but right next to the share and the tweet button, when you're a moderator, there's a list of panel controls that you'd see, and basically you can start a live stream from, it would be right in this area. You can also click on, start a webcam, and basically what it does, it just plugs into the webcam that you already have on your computer. It takes about 3 to 5 seconds for it to pick up usually, but then you're right in front of the OVEE platform, and your face would basically take up. Your screen would take up just the video, kind of where the other video would be. So you can do that for as long as you'd like, and then at any point just click back on that button that says End Webcam, much like you can with a Google Hangout, and then you're back to the video.
Great. And tonight for the State of the Union, are you live streaming the State of the Union address into the OVEE chat box?
Yeah, we're actually live streaming it from Ustream, which is a national live streaming site, and so we have an account with them. So anything that's national, big in scope, that's going to be on Ustream, we can pull in. So yeah, we're actually going to be showing the State of the Union, which normally we wouldn't have rights to. We would have no way because we'd have to wait for it to be a YouTube video or on PBS. We can actually live stream that. So instead of watching it on ABC and tweeting, you can just go into OVEE and connect it with your students, even if they're at home watching with their families.
That's great. Thanks so much, Jonathan. That's really helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to take a second and, wow, look at that sun shining. It's so pretty. I just wanted to take a second and invite the panelists to be in conversation with one another. I don't know if you all heard anything from one another that you thought you'd like to follow up on. I also want to invite the people who are watching to pose any questions to to all three people, or if you have any specific follow-up questions for any of the platforms, please feel free to share those now. Let me start. I noticed that a lot of the conversations, kind of the issue of a learning curve for the teachers comes up. That's totally understandable given everything that they have going on in the day. So I wanted to know what are ways that you all have found successful ways to kind of integrate this into what teachers are doing without adding too much, without kind of taxing their capacity and sort of easing them into the process of something that might be completely new.
Well, I'll start. We really encourage people to start small and to maybe make just a 10% change in the beginning, not to try and take on a giant project at once. So our platform has resources that aren't tech heavy at all, So we have a storyboarding worksheet that I love, which is just like drawing little cartoon bubbles, basically, and you write the text underneath. So that's actually a huge part of the filmmaking process, but it doesn't have any tech at all. And so I think a lot of media, what we think of as media literacy, can really be done with a pen and paper and just some critical thinking. It's not necessarily tech heavy. So that's
great. Thanks, Lizzy. What about you, Emily, in terms of introducing a new tool to teachers? What are you finding that it's there's any challenges around a learning curve, or has it been pretty fluid since you guys are leading the workshops?
I would say that it's, as far as teaching the teachers in the schools where we're going to, that's certainly something that we're still mastering and working on. It is really hard with time constraints. 45 to 50 minutes in a classroom is not a lot of time. And the teachers, too, they do have a lot of other things going on, and it can be really hard to get them to focus just on the one task at hand. So I mean, what we'd like to do more of is we do have curriculum that's available up on mediabreaker.org. We also have curriculum that's available for purchase, and we do professional development as well. And I think that would really be the better arena to be able to teach them when they can, focus on what they're doing and be candid with their questions. And yeah, if we can, spend some more time with them after school or during planning periods or something like that, where they don't have kids in the room.
That's a good point. Jonathan, did you want to address that at all?
Yeah, I think the idea of kind of knowing the expectations that you really want out and kind of starting small. Whether it's one classroom and having an event where you're connecting to one other classroom, that can be a great start. So you're not expecting a whole bunch of people to come, but the students that you're trying to work with, or another organization. Partner with one organization before you partner with three, and that way you can really kind of set those expectations on a realistic level. And seriously, I think the biggest help can be reach out to us. If you're interested in using the platform, feel free to ask as many questions as you want, because we've just launched within the past 6 months, and so we want to elicit your feedback. We want to grow with those people that are using our product as well, and it's publicly funded, so it's yours just as much as it is ours.
Great. So yeah, we should. I'll figure out how to get your email information to people who are interested. People are welcome to email me at aggie@namac.org, and I can send people's email addresses, panelists' email addresses, to you before kind of making them public. Let me think about how to do that so you're not bombarded with emails. One other question that I have is in terms of, we often kind of experience media literacy instruction in the social studies or kind of liberal arts classroom, and I'm wondering, have any of you sort of branched out your work into science or math education, and what's been the response there? So, like, do you anticipate Media Breaker being used in a science classroom, and what are ways that you can envision it being used there? Or have science teachers come to OVEE and said, we could really watch this particular video would be really great through the viewing platform?
Yeah, for the most part, we have really focused on kind of media literacy education, but we're really looking at partnerships with MOOCs, the Massive Open Online Courses, as well as things like Khan Academy to really break into that kind of science learning. As long as there's a video for it or someone who's willing to be on camera, there's really no limitation to the subject matter. But as we've seen in the past, definitely the more kind of media literacy humanities is kind of the people that are most interested right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say for the Media Breaker for science, science is math. Honestly, I'm not creative enough. But for science, one of the things that we've done before with kids in our past classes is they basically make documentary videos about rocks or Earth's processes rather than just read it from a book, and in that way they're still getting some kind of dose of media literacy. I think that at the middle school or high school level, you could do things where you're looking more at ads for things like food or cars, like the sample that we showed, or even news clips that are about health reports. I mean, there's a lot of media literacy that can come from those health reports that are all doom and gloom, and you're going to die if you don't, twist your ankle this certain way. I don't know, something dumb. So that's an opportunity, I think, where it can be, where there's media there that can be talked back to.
Great. And Lizzy, has the Film Society thought about how you can, integrate more science and math teachers, or at least science teachers, into using this content?
Yeah, we're always trying to look for ways it can apply in different kinds of classrooms. So I think science projects have a real ability to use a kind of a media report, media learning, to use the film form as like a book report or a science report. And I think that the possibility to explore different technologies really goes with what a lot of science teachers are into. So there's a lot of potential there, but again, we do tend to get more traction in social studies and language arts classes. That's just how it seems to work right now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hopefully we're all moving towards more interdisciplinary, I think that's becoming more kind of part of the cultural lexicon is interdisciplinary conversations, so I think we'll move that direction. Well, it has been an hour, and I am out of questions. Do you all have any questions for each other that you want to delve into? I want to add a comment. Having a low-tech or no-tech option allows students with different learning styles and capacities to reach the same goal. That's from a viewer as well. And so that, Lizzy, goes back to what you were saying, that paper and pen is kind of where you can start with some basic media literacy. But what I really appreciate about all of these tools is that they do have teachers and students in mind in terms of trying to make it trying to promote the learning over the kind of the tech learning curve. So keeping the tech stuff basic enough that people can participate in it and still get a lot of robust learning from it. I really appreciate the tools for that. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Do we have any questions from our audience members? Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to view. This will be recorded on YouTube and available on the Namely YouTube video feed. We will write a little blog post about it, capturing some of the highlights, and we'd love for you all to share with your communities because it's a really resource-rich conversation. And I want to thank Lizzy and Jonathan and Emily again for being